All right, you guys, we are here to talk about autism. If you're the parent of a child with autism, if you have autism, if you just want to learn about autism, this is the place for you. We are just barely getting started, but we go live for 2 hours to talk about all things autism related. Thank y'all for starting to come in. I see you guys coming in. Thank you. Be tapping on that screen. Let's get the hearts going. How's everyone doing today? How's everyone doing? I'm just getting a few things here set up while we're getting things started. Good morning, Lexi. What's new? What's going on, Lexi? How are you doing? How are you doing? Lala, good to see you. Zaza, hello. Hello, Chris. Good to see you. Hello, Dana. Thank you for coming in. We're just getting started. It takes a minute to get everyone in here, but please come on in. We're going to be talking about autism. I do have some breaking news that I'll be sharing here in just a little bit as soon as we get to our 20,000 likes. I'm excited about this one today, mostly because it's an important topic that we don't talk about enough. A little bit about what we do here. Come on in, you guys. It takes a minute to get everyone in here, but what we do is we talk about autism. If you're an autism parent, we want to hear from you. What questions do you have about your child? Are you wondering if your child might have autism? Ask your questions. And who am I? Well, I am a autism father. So I have 2 kids with autism. I have a master's degree in autism studies, and I'm a board certified behavior analyst, and I run a company that serves people with autism. My whole life, day in, day out, is autism. And mostly, I just wanted to have a community here where we can talk openly with each other and ask each other the hard questions. Blob says, thank you so much for your videos. Oh my gosh, Blob, thank you. That means the world. I put a lot of heart into those videos, and I love posting them. Yuri, really good question. Does stimming mean autism? Not necessarily. Hey, Lexi, over on YT, good to see you over there on that other platform that I can't say out loud, or else TikTok may suppress. But Yuri's asking a good question. Does stimming mean autism? What do you guys think in the chat? Tell me, if a child stims, does that mean autism? Let me tell you a little bit about what I think there. Melissa, happy St. Patrick's Day to you. I am wearing green. I do have children, and they absolutely will pinch me if I am not wearing green. And so I had to reach all the way in the back of my closet today for this one. Did I get my degree before or after I had children? Before. I had children after. I had a child with autism after. My child with autism was diagnosed just a year and a half ago. And I've been a board certified behavior analyst, working with people with autism actually for 13 years. So look, stimming does not mean autism. A lot of kids with autism do stim, but that doesn't mean that stimming means autism. A lot of neurotypical people stim. Stimming is a normal way that our bodies can help regulate our nervous system. However, kids with autism do tend to stim more often and perhaps more intensely. But that's not the only factor with autism. There's a lot of other signs of autism. Lexi over on YT says, I am wearing blue. Don't tell your kids. I'll keep them far away from you. They do know that if I get a report back from school that they pinched anybody, then their screens are gone. So I don't think they'll pinch anyone at school. All right, you guys, let me ask who all do we have here? Where are you from? Put the state that you're in or the country. I want to know where about everyone is. Where are you guys watching from? Shout out to your areas. Put the state, or if you're not in the United States, put the country. Oregon, South Carolina, New Jersey, London, Kentucky, Arizona, Zambia, Manchester, Illinois, Norway, SoCal, Kentucky, Romania, Michigan, Peru. Love this. We got people from everywhere. Pennsylvania, Botswana, Ohio. Teresa, you're from Ohio. I heard something about a meteor. What happened with a meteor, Teresa? Did you hear a meteor this morning? There were reports of like a meteor hitting in Ohio that was like really loud. I want to know, Teresa, if you heard something about that. Um, all right. Let's see here. How do I know the difference between speech delay and autism? Okay, speech delay and issues learning how to communicate are only one part of autism. There are so many other factors. So autism, there's other diagnostic criteria, and so you may have. Let's see here. Repetitive behaviors that can be things like stimming are things that they're going to be looking for. How about rigidness in routine or schedule? Sensory sensitivities and social communication deficit. So it's a lot more than just a speech delay. For if you have a toddler and you're wondering, is this autism? Is this a speech delay? A good place is to do the MChat for toddlers, MCHAT. You can do that anywhere online. There's lots of places you can do that. For simplicity, I do have it linked in my bio. If you want to find an MChat, it'll give you a score and tell you if you are high likelihood, moderate likelihood, or low likelihood of autism. Bull says, I think I have autism, but I haven't told anyone. Bull, I understand. I understand that feeling. You guys, let's get the likes up to 20,000, you guys, so that I can do the daily news of the day. That is what we do, is I wait until we have 20,000 likes, and then we go through the daily news about autism. So go ahead and be tapping on that screen. Kiara, what a good question. My oldest son has autism. Can you explain a little bit about it for me so I can understand? Kiara, how old is your son? How old is your son? Look, one of the big things that I like to point out about autism. Oh, he's 5. Okay. One of the biggest things that I like to point out about autism is, number one, you, Kiara, did not cause your child to have autism. That is the number one thing I want you to know, Kiara, is that there's no action that you took that caused autism. It wasn't due to Tylenol that you took. It wasn't due to vaccines. It was the way his brain developed during pregnancy. And no matter what society tells you, it wasn't because of how you parented. It wasn't because of the screen time. Your child brain developed differently than some other people, and that's okay. The second thing is, one of the main differences that we see with autism and neurotypical kids is the how effectively the brain prunes irrelevant stimuli. What this means is, a typical baby will start learning pretty young to filter out things that they don't need to pay attention to in their brain. It's called pruning the synaptic connections. Think of this. Right now, are you focusing on the shoes that are on your feet? Are you focusing on the ceiling fan above your head that's making sounds? Are you focused on the birds in the background? Are you focused on the dog barking that you weren't paying attention to? I mean, there are things that our brain automatically tunes out. And what a lot of people with autism report, and what some of the science and evidence says, is that people with autism, they prune differently. And so they may not see, they may not be able to filter all of these same sensory inputs out. And so your 5-year-old Kiara is experiencing an overwhelming amount of sensory input through all of their senses. Now, this doesn't apply perfectly to every child with autism, but it does help explain some of the sensory issues that they may be experiencing. All right, let's go ahead and Kiara says he's trying to say words and he's flopping his arms. Kiara, okay, so a lot of times kids with autism will start stimming, Kiara. and I don't want you to be embarrassed about it. Stimming and flapping the arms helps them be happy, helps them regulate their nervous system. And you don't need to try to stop them from doing that, okay? It's something that we encourage, something that helps them regulate as long as they're being safe. How do I respond to parents wanting a cure for my autism? It feels like they will never accept me. Oh, Brood. Brood, that is hard. Guys, look at Brood's comment here. And I think if you're a parent and you're trying to cure or reverse autism, first of all, you can't do that. And secondly, it's who your child is. And your time is far better spent accepting them, loving them, and supporting them than it is trying to find a cure or to reverse it. Brood, I am so sorry that that's how you feel. I think it's important that you know that your differences make you who you are, and whether or not your parents accept that, that can be hard to have as a child, but it doesn't change the fact that you are special, that you are important, and that you matter. Hi, Biscotti. All right, you guys, we are already at 4,000 likes. I want everyone to please be tapping on that screen so we can get to 20,000 likes. And once we get to 20,000 likes, then I go through the daily news of the day. All right, let's go ahead and keep answering some of these questions. Rosie says, my 2-year-old doesn't respond to his name. Also doesn't understand anything like questions or tasks. Okay, Rosie, has your child been diagnosed with autism, Rosie? Because not responding to the name and not understanding simple questions or tasks can absolutely be a sign of autism if your child is not yet diagnosed. Lego Dude says, I wouldn't change your son for anything. We love and accept him as he is. You guys, I would absolutely help my son reduce some of his challenges. But I know that there's no way to reverse or cure. But his autism makes him who he is. You know, like I love those things about him. I love who he is as a person. And I accept him. So, Lego Dude, thank you for sharing that. Dazai says, what do you know about the link between autism and bottom-up processing? It sounds like something I need to do some more research on, Dazai. Thank you for the question. No, he hasn't. Currently in the process, but he has also only recently had dewaxing in ears. Okay, so, Rosie, am I understanding maybe you were worried about his hearing and that maybe he couldn't hear you well? Okay, so are you on a wait list to get evaluated for autism, Rosie? Are you on a wait list yet? Let me tell you what you need to do, Rosie. If you're not on a wait list yet, what I need you to do first is, number one, you need a village. You need to be building your village. If you have a child that you suspect has special needs like autism, you need friends and family who are going to be helping and assisting, and that could be neighbors. You can build a village. You need a spouse that's on the same page as you. You need to make sure that your spouse is carrying half of the mental load of running your house. If you have a special needs child, that's even more important. The second is you need to get on every single wait list you can to get your child diagnosed. Do not wait over 6 months for a diagnosis. If you have to travel 5 hours to go and get that evaluation, you travel 5 hours. So call everywhere. 3 months is a normal wait time. I got in about a month with my daughter because I called everywhere and found a place that I had to drive an hour and a half, but got her diagnosed. Desai, can you bring me up and tell me if I have autism? No, I cannot. I don't diagnose autism, but feel free to put in the chat some of the things that you're challenging with, and I can talk to you. But yeah, I don't diagnose. I apologize. You're 27, undiagnosed, but think you're on the spectrum. Yeah. Okay. Sophie says, can autism be subtle and not obvious to most? Yes, yes. And you see this with kids where the mom or the dad see the kid and they know the kid and they're seeing a lot of these signs of autism. You also see it in adults who have learned to mask their entire life. And so no one knows that anything is wrong or that there's any problems, but you have been masking and putting in 10 times more effort to socialize and to complete your responsibilities at the social level than other people. Like that is something that we see all the time. Jazz says, my little brother makes loud sounds a lot or laughs a lot and does a lot of movement with fingers. Jazz, is your brother diagnosed with autism? Are they diagnosed with autism? It sounds like they could be. It sounds like they could be. Lexi, I really like what you're saying over there on YT. For those that don't know, if you're over there, I do make sure that I prioritize those comments. Try to read as many of those as I can. I do miss a lot over on TikTok. Let's see. Lexi, I am curious. You're in Ohio. Was there a meteor today? Did you hear something about a meteor in Ohio? But I really like what Lexi has to say. Do not change your kid, change the world. Yeah, when you're talking about curing autism, the world needs to accept autism. That's how it goes. Okay. What do you think are good adjustments a workplace can make to support? My work always asks me. No, that's a good question. It depends on what you struggle with. Some of the things that I've seen is that there may be some understood things that some people in the workplace that they just understand that it's common knowledge, like that how to the common courtesies of when to make phone calls or when to send emails or what you need to address. And so I think one thing I've seen help is when expectations are written down instead of just verbally stated. That can help a lot of people with autism. I've also seen it to where breaks are helpful, that getting an unpaid break every 2 hours for 15 minutes to go and decompress in the other room. You just got to look at what your needs are. And I love that your workplace is asking you what you need for accommodations. Oh, Lexi, you didn't hear about it. Okay. Let's see. Lexi also says, I have my book release tomorrow. I took an autism test or 4 last night. What do I do with my result? Is it even worth getting diagnosed at 30? Look, at that point, it depends. It depends. One is it can inform your therapist. You can go and talk to your therapist. You can go and find a therapist who specializes in autism if you have autism. So that can be helpful to get diagnosed later. What can also help is it can validate a lot of experience that you've had throughout your life. Like those feelings that things are harder than it seems like they should be. That I didn't always fit in, things like that. And that validation can be powerful. So it's really up to you. I mean, it doesn't hurt anything to do it. But also, like, if you don't want that and you don't want that label or you're nervous about it, I wouldn't overstress it. All right, you guys, let's go ahead. I am curious, who do we have in here? Put 1 in the chat if you are an autism parent. Put 2 in the chat if you have autism or you believe that you have autism. Put 3 in the chat if you are just here as an interested party to learn, to observe. Maybe you're a professional in the field. Put 3 in the chat. 1, 2, or 3. Let's see who we got in here. We got a lot of people. Thank you all for being in here. I appreciate the support. A little bit about myself and what we do is we go live every single day, you guys, for 2 hours. We go live talking about autism. We answer questions about autism. We laugh together. We cry together. The way that we usually structure this is a lot of it is me reading the questions that come up. So please keep adding those questions. I do tend to read more questions that come up on YT. I can't say the full name of that other platform, but I think you know what I'm talking about. But please keep on commenting, and I get to as many questions as I can. Once we get to 20,000 likes, I go through the news of the day It's always something autism related. And so we are halfway there. We have 10,000 likes. Go ahead and be tapping on that screen. Let's get to 20,000 as soon as we can. And then I will go through the news of the day. After that, we are going to be, we do bring people up. We bring people up and have you ask questions on the stream. That's always a great time to be able to come up, ask questions, tell us how hard things are going. Thank you all for being here. Okay, let's see here. Hi, as an autistic person, how do you deal with time management and productivity issues? Okay, so let me clarify a little bit. So I am not diagnosed with autism. However, I do have 2 kids with autism. I have a master's degree in autism studies. I'm a board certified behavior analyst, and I'm the CEO of a company that provides services to people who are diagnosed with autism. And so a lot of things that we do to help people with time management and productivity, especially if there's some PDA in there. PDA is pathological demand avoidance. Is a lot of people with autism, especially if they have the PDA profile, they don't necessarily like feeling rushed or like the external pressure of other people telling them what to do. And so a lot of it is building that independence to where you're using alarms or using a schedule, using a timer. You can manage your own time instead of having other people control your time. Can Legos be therapeutic for someone with autism? Our son loves Legos but struggles building it. Lego dude, that's a good question. I will tell you, learning to play can be therapeutic. And whatever that interest is, however your child likes to play, promoting play is so important. Why? Because it brings a person in contact with things that they love. It brings them in contact with reinforcement. And that's not just important for your kid. It's important for you. Put in the chat, when was the last time that you got out of the house without your children so that you could do a hobby? Tell me, has it been days? Has it been weeks? Has it been years? When was the last time you left your house and did a hobby? Now, your hobby, what it can't be, your hobby is not cooking for your family. Your hobby is not growing a garden for your family. Your hobby is not doing things that benefit your kids or your family. It's not sewing. It's not doing those things. It is leaving your house and going to a movie, going golfing, going and getting brunch with your friends. Okay. When was the last time you left your house and you went and did something not for your children? Months, years. Lexi, yes, a hobby. You need a hobby. You guys. Many years, honestly. You guys, we need a hobby. I almost did it yesterday, you guys. I went to go golfing yesterday, and then I just wanted to take my kids with me, and so I took 2 of my kids with me, and it ended up not being so much of self-care and more of a good father parenting moment. But it was still going and doing a hobby. So that was good. While going to work does not count. You need a hobby. You guys, the first part of the autism journey that I talk about every day is you need to build a village. Now, the why behind that village isn't just because we want to have people to talk to. It is because you need to take care of yourself. Let me ask you this. The current way that you are operating, how long can you do that for? How long can you operate how you're currently operating? Are you so overwhelmed that you can't last another day? Can you last maybe a month or 2? The whole point of building a village is to make it so that this journey is sustainable. Your child needs you for the long haul. They need you for a long time, not just when they're 2. And so if you go all out and you're doing everything you can for your child and you're not focusing on yourself, I mean, that has an impact on you. That has an impact on you. Part of this too, part of this village is having a spouse. If you're married, having a spouse who is sharing the load. Put this in the chat, you guys. Let me know if here we'll do this. Put 1 in the chat if you have a partner or a spouse and you feel like you share the mental load really well. Put 1 in the chat. Put 2 in the chat if you feel like you have a spouse, but the load is not split evenly. That maybe you have a little bit too much going on. Then put 3 in the chat if you're doing this solo. Put 3 in the chat if you're doing this solo. 1, 2, or 3. 1 is you have a partner who is helping. Number 2 is you have a partner, but maybe the load isn't split. And then 3 is you're doing this solo. That's what I want to see. A 1.5. That's good. That's good. It's getting there. It sounds like. You guys, one of the very first parts of building your village is if you answered number 2, we need to get that to a 1. And I don't know that a lot of us are ready to have that conversation. But having a kid with special needs, it takes a lot out of you. It's a lot, and you need to be able to to ensure that your partner is splitting this load. I tell you what is not splitting the load is working 8 hours a day. One person working 8 hours a day, and the other person managing everything else in the home and all other responsibilities that are happening. That is not splitting the load. Okay, let's see here. Ash, it's 2, but there's effort to help for sure. Guys, let me just point out a cool resource. Just because we're talking about it, it's important. It's an important thing for us to talk about. I haven't talked about it in a while. Have you guys ever seen the Fair Play deck of cards? This is like a... Okay, let's find some of these. This is a game. Well, it's not really a game. It's a conversation to have with your partner. This is how you go from a 2 to a 1. If you put 2 in the chat and you want it to be a 1, this is a really good resource that you can have. Because what it does is every single card is a mental load. It's a task. It's something that someone in the household has to be over. And to visualize putting them in piles and say, this is on you, this is on me, this doesn't apply, it really starts showing if there's inequity and allows us to be a little bit deliberate in how these are made, how the assignments are made. It's called Fair Play. It's linked in my bio. I don't know if I did it right, but you can check my Amazon on there or just look it up. It's called Fair Play Deck. But some of these things are, okay, who is in charge of dry cleaning? And let's do this, you guys. If it is you, I'm going to read some of these. If you are over this, put me in the chat, okay? Dry cleaning. Who takes clothes to dry cleaning? Okay, who takes out the garbage? Put me in the chat if it's you. Who's in charge of garbage? And this doesn't just mean taking garbage out, but this is also the mental load of thinking, what day is garbage pickup, right? It's managing that mental load. It's not just when you ask someone to go take out the garbage, do they do it? But who bears the mental load of when garbage has to be taken out? Okay, what about changing diapers? If a red flag to me is if a man tells you that a man should not change diapers because that's weird or it's gross, that's a concern. I mean, I'd be worried about him. You can split changing diapers. Okay, who ensures that kids are packed up? whether that's for a trip. Maybe we'll say for a trip, or maybe it's for going out of the day. Put me. Who fills out the school forms? Who's in charge of school forms? I'm just going through a few of these, you guys. Just a few. Let's see here. Who is over gestures of love for your kids? That's kind of a weird one, but this might be like, do you get them a Valentine? How do you show your kids that you love them? Who is over school lunches? This could be putting money on your child's account. This could be packing your kid's lunch. Who is over that? Who is over breakfast? Who cooks breakfast on the weekdays? Who communicates with the teachers? That could be over email or text. Who talks to the teachers? Who answers hard questions from the kids? If your kids have to ask something, the other day, I mean, it happens a lot that a kid might ask something about, hey, where do babies come from? Like, who is the one that has to step in and have that conversation? Who purchases gifts for family? If it's your kid's birthday, who buys that gift? Okay, that is all that I'm gonna read right now. But it's important to look at these things, and it's not about keeping score, right? But what it is about is making sure that you feel like things are split. Because when I talk about building a village, if you have a partner, that partner needs to share the load. And the moment that happens, you're able to find yourself again. And so I encourage you guys. To take a look at some of those things. It's an important thing. All right, you guys, we are at 18,000 likes, only 2,000 likes away from going through the news of the day. Go ahead and be putting on some of these questions. If you guys have any questions, put it in the chat. Let me introduce a little bit about what we do. I'm an autism dad. I got 2 kids with autism. I work with people with autism. I've worked with people with autism for over a decade. I have a master's degree in autism studies. I'm a board certified behavior analyst, and I run a company helping people with autism. And so I love this world. I love this community. I love the autism community, and I look forward to going live every single day. We go live every day, and so if this says follow, that means you do not follow me yet. Go ahead and hit me a follow. All right. Over on the YT, if you're over there, chat is too busy on TikTok for me. Yeah, Lexi, I get that. We split a lot. He's younger than me and new to living with kids, so he's still learning a lot. Lexi, it sounds like you guys are figuring it out. But there are some good conversations to lay out here of how the mental load fits. Oh, what do you think of the trend? Travis has a good question. What do you think of the trend of everybody self-diagnosing themselves? Okay, here's what I think is I don't believe that autism is a trend. I don't think it's a trend. What I think is happening is that we have millions, especially women, but adults, millions of adults, especially women, who went undiagnosed as a child. They went undiagnosed because the autism diagnosis didn't exist until 2013 as it exists today, but also girls tend to mask earlier than boys. So what did this do? Well, what this did is this made it so that and there's another part before I jump into that. And the diagnosis itself was studied based on studies including boys. And so autism wasn't studied in girls or women very much. And as it has, and as we've learned more, the way that we diagnose it has changed, and we've been able to find more things. And so we have a lot of women who went undiagnosed because they were masking. They were doing everything and looked as though things were easy, but they were putting in 10 times the effort to make that happen. And so we do have a lot of women today who are on lives like this, or reading books, or seeing stuff online and saying, hey, you know what? That kind of describes me a little bit. And so I don't think that's a trend. I think that's building some self-awareness. However, I do want to urge caution. Do not say that you're autistic unless you have been evaluated. I think it can do damage by overusing that diagnosis. You can't identify as autistic. You can't claim to be autistic. It is a diagnosis that a professional has to give you. You can say that I suspect I have autism, but don't say that you're autistic unless you have that diagnosis. Kez says, I think that's me. I've been masking for years. Yeah. Kristen says, exhausted all my life. Oh, 20,000. Okay. Lexi, yes, you are right. We hit the 20,000 likes, you guys. That means that we are doing the news of the day. Let's see here. Please don't. BJM Phoenix Autistic World says, please don't. Not sure what the please don't is, but thank you guys for being here. Let's take a look here at what the news is of today. This one's kind of interesting. Really, really sad, but a good one for us to look at and learn from. This happened in Kentucky. Anyone here from Kentucky? Lexington, Kentucky. Anyone know of anyone here in Kentucky? I want to know where everyone's from. While I go through the news, you guys put in where you're from. Oh, you're in Lexington, Storm Chaser? Oh my gosh. Okay, maybe you've heard of this news. This news is from Lexington. Okay, Melissa, you are? Okay. Yes, Kat, you're from Kentucky. Okay, yeah. Okay, the news article today, it's a few days old, but I hadn't seen this yet. It didn't get widespread news. I had to kind of dig in and find this. But a Lexington family sues Fayette County School after boy with autism escapes onto busy road. And the details here are so frustrating. Oh, Canada and Sweden in the chat. That's amazing. Okay, according to the complaint, the child arrived at Meadowthorpe Elementary on November 17th, 2025, and was placed in the school's moderate to severe disability classroom at around 12:01 p.m. The complaint stated the child was well known to staff for being drawn to the classroom window and frequently attempting to open it. A teacher had reportedly requested a window lock around 1 month before the incident, but the complaint stated no lock had been installed by the time of the incident. At around 12:33 p.m., the complaint detailed, the child climbed out of the open, unattended window and exited the building entirely, unnoticed by any adult in the classroom. Guys, he escaped through a window in a severe special needs classroom and no adult noticed. Oh, guys. Oh, man. Okay. For the next 19 minutes, the complaint stated the child roamed the schoolyard, fully visible on the school's security cameras, while no adult reported on him missing. The child then found a hole in the fence separating the school property from New Circle Road, a heavily trafficked roadway under active construction at the time, and crawled through it, according to the complaint. Further, the complaint stated that he began running alongside the shoulder of the road as traffic passed, with construction materials, signage, and concrete barriers nearby. At least one 911 caller reported the child was attempting to climb over a concrete barrier into lanes of travel. Guys, this kid was only, 7 years old, nonverbal, with autism. Oh, Melissa, is New Circle Road pretty busy? New Circle Road? You know that road. This is wild that there's people that know this exact location as I'm reading this story. This is crazy. Okay. Lexington Animal Care and Control, which was in the area on an unrelated call, spotted the child and secured him. Guys, holy cow. Shout out to Animal Care and Control. That is crazy. That is crazy that they were just in the area and they saw this and they're like, well, I better help. I better go and help. And so they secured the child. Multiple concerned citizens also called 911. Man, you guys, if you see something like this, don't just call 911. You pull over and you help that child, right? Am I crazy here? Why did no one do that until it was I'm glad that the Animal Care and Control did, but I don't understand why you would call 911 and not actually help. Okay, let's see here. The complaint stated, the child was terrified and stressed and immediately vomited and had an elevated heart rate. He was taken to UK Pediatric Emergency Center. At the time of his transport, the complaint claimed staff at Meadowthorpe Elementary still did not know he was missing. Guys, all of this was happening, and the school didn't even know that he was gone. All these 911 calls, people having to restrain him because he was still trying to run away, throwing up, being sent to the emergency room with an elevated heart rate and terrified, and the school had no idea that he was gone. And so the lawsuit comes. They're seeking damages exceeding $75,000 along with attorney's fees and other relief. You know what? $75,000 actually seems pretty small for this incident. But man, that is, guys. Oh, I feel terrible. I want to know, how did they know who this child was? How did they, the child couldn't talk and in an emergency room, not able to talk. I wonder how they connected the dots and said like, oh my gosh, like, where's this kid? Did they call 911? Let me see if it addresses that at all. No, it doesn't talk about that. That's all. Guys, that is something that I worry about. I worry about the elopement. It's scary. Okay, Lily says, can my child have dairy while on leucovorin? That's something you're going to have to talk to this prescribing doctor about. I can't contradict what a prescriber will say. I will say at this time, leucovorin is not FDA approved for autism or for results of a FRAT test. It is only approved by FDA for, after thorough review, was only approved for a very rare genetic condition, not the standard cerebral folate deficiency that is described in the FRAT test. And so that is something you'll need to talk to the prescribing doctor about. I am not mad at parents who are trying leucovorin, but on my live, I do say that is one of those things that adds to your plate of things that you have to worry about and do, and has not yet been shown to be effective. And so on this platform, we talk about things in the sense of, let's try to do everything as simply as possible. Let's not overwhelm yourself. Let's not do things that are not evidence-based. And I'm optimistic. I hope leucovorin, the research is more and more promising. I will say that there are clinical trials going on right now that you can seek out. And if you're going to try leucovorin, if you really want to, please be part of a clinical trial so that there can be a lot of eyes on how it's being done to ensure it's safe. And then also to further the research in the autism world. Jack says, why would you want to learn about autism? Good question, Jack. If you don't want to, that's fine. But I love autism. Okay. What other questions do we have, you guys? My son is level 2 autistic. He's 5 now, and those were the signs. Okay, let's see. Is being nonverbal at 2, flapping hands and spinning in circles an indicator of autism? Okay, those are very strong indicators of autism, yes. Now, autism includes more than that. It's broader than that, but those are two things that that autism can look like. So, yes, I would say yes. Now, there are other things. I'm curious, is there anyone in here that is waiting for their child's diagnosis? Put yes in the chat if you are waiting for your child, or if you suspect autism in your child but do not have a diagnosis yet. Put yes in the chat. I want to know who fits that description. Is there anyone in here who fits that description? Okay. BB, Carr, Bridget, John. Oh, not John. Kay, Valerie. Let me give you guys some info here. If you suspect that your child has autism, what I want you to do is first do a screener. The pediatrician does these screeners, or should do these screeners, at 18 months and 24 months. And usually they use the MChat. And so I would recommend that you go and do the MChat, which can indicate whether or not a child, what their likelihood of having autism is, what their risk factor is. So it's linked to my bio, actually. If you want to look at the MChat, it's the same thing that the pediatricians use. It doesn't diagnose autism. It just says, it gives you a score, and if that score is high, then it says that there's a high risk of autism and to go seek an evaluation. Let's see here. Lily says, so is this live about helping or healing autism, or just an autism club? Lily, that's a good question. It is a place that we talk about autism. If you have questions about autism, a lot of the people here are autism parents, that they have children with autism. A lot of people here have autism themselves. And we just enjoy talking to each other. I bring people up sometimes if they have questions. Lily, what connects you to autism? Definitely about supporting autism is what we're talking about here. How do we support autism? Let's answer questions about autism. I don't like the phrasing of healing autism. Autism is not a disease. It's not something that you can catch or be healed from. So I definitely don't like the language of healing autism. Oh, Lily, your son has autism. I love that. I love it. Leia said, can you recommend any gummy good for my son with autism? What kind of gummy? What are you looking for with a gummy? Okay. My husband has autism. Kimmy, that's great. My daughter is 15 this year. She diagnosed since 18 months, more than a decade of therapy. Kaiko, how is your daughter now? After more than a decade of therapy, how is your 15-year-old daughter? Ash says, my daughter was diagnosed at 2. She turns 22 today. Whoa! Ash, 20 years of being on this journey. You are experienced. You are a veteran. Kaiko, she is awesome. I bet she is. Lucas says, I love your energy. Thank you so much. Do you have any tips for sensory issues? Yes, I do. There are 2 types of sensory issues that our kids with autism experience. And it can be like hypersensitivity or hyposensitivity. Hyper, Hyper, or hyposensitivity. And hypersensitivity to some of these sensory inputs has to do with, everything feeling too loud, too overwhelming, and chaotic. And so we can address that. But autism also can include hyposensitivity. Like my daughter, it almost seems like she doesn't have a care in the world if things don't go her way. She just kind of is there and flat affect quite often. And so she has a little bit more of the hyposensitivity that if she gets hurt, her pain tolerance seems to be through the roof. But most of the time we're looking at hypersensitivity. And if that's the case, what you have to recognize is that it's a very real thing. Their brain is overwhelmed and overloaded. And so, like, if you were listening to music and it was too loud and people were saying, how do we get them to quit complaining about the music being too loud? Well, like, you can't really change that the music is too loud for you. You have to turn down the music. And so a lot of the way that we help kids with sensory needs is by turning down the volume, making sure that they have moments to be able to go and regulate and decompress. Headphones. That's why the headphones are such a big deal. It literally turns down the volume of the chaotic sounds. Helping them stim and meet their sensory needs in good, healthy, appropriate ways. My oldest pain tolerance is crazy. Her sister has vasovagal syncope. Oh, interesting, Ash. Catherine says I do that for my anxiety. Yeah, absolutely. Harry says, when should someone consider an assessment? Okay. You should consider an assessment if your child goes through an autism screener that are free online. One is linked in my bio, the MChat, and it indicates a high likelihood of autism. Then you should seek out a autism evaluation. Some of those earliest signs, I'm curious, you guys. I do like to ask this. Just keep in mind, if you are regular here, you know I ask this sometimes, but it is important because we have a lot of people here who are still trying to figure out if their child has autism. And so please put in the chat, what were the first signs, looking back now, what were some of the first things that you could have seen and noticed about your child that indicated that they have autism? While you guys put that in the chat, let me tell you what my experience was with my son. He wasn't responding to his name, right? A baby should start responding to their name very young. What age should a baby start responding to their name? Let's look that up. Okay, about 6 to 9 months, you guys. About 6 to 9 months is when a baby should start responding to their name. And so if they're 1 and they're not responding to their name yet, like that can be concerning. And so you have to look at that was one of the first signs. The other signs of my child with autism was not pointing and not looking where I was pointing. That again is 9 to 12 months. They should be pointing or looking where you are pointing. Not communicating well, that is absolutely another one. Repetitive behaviors or stereotypy, that can be like hand flapping or like repetitive movements, spinning, things like that. Now you have to look, guys, you have to be aware of that some of these things happen with all kids, and it doesn't mean autism. If your kid flaps their hands, doesn't mean that they have autism, you guys, because it's everything combined that allows you to give that diagnosis of autism. And so the steps are, first, if you see some of these things, don't fear the label of autism. Guys, this is so important. Do not allow the fear of the label of autism to prevent you from diagnosing autism early. Way, way too often do I see parents who say, look, we're seeing these concerns, but we just want to wait and see. Like, we don't want to give them that label. They're too young. Kids develop at different ages. I hear that way too much. And it's okay. It's normal. I felt like that. And it's kind of this denial of not being ready to start that grieving process of having a child with autism. And so please, if you suspect autism, a diagnosis is not going to limit them in life. It's the exact opposite. What that diagnosis does is it opens the door to support to help your child go further. Okay? You are helping your child become the best version of themselves by having them be evaluated if there's indications of autism. Serenity says, yeah, it's best to get everything going early. Yeah, absolutely. BB said, I told doctor something wasn't right at 6 months. He is now 20 months and getting diagnosis. BB, you knew at a young age, BB. Like you recognized it early. Well done. And 20 months is very early. That's still very young. Well done. Getting your child evaluated so young. Rhiannon says, my daughter asked me to teach her math at 4, so I did, and she understood easily. Rhiannon, you're bringing up an interesting thing that we see with autism. Some people with autism are hyperlexic. Hyperlexia refers to the increased ability to learn to read and learn math. And so you may have a child, like my son, he knew his entire alphabet before he was age 2, but he didn't respond to his own name. He could sit there and say A, B, C, D, look at all the letters and read every single letter, but then when we would call his name, he wouldn't look at us. That is hyperlexia within autism. Is they won't respond to their name, but they have this, there's order and clarity and simplicity and structure to language and to math. And so hyperlexia happens all the time. I don't know if you guys can relate to that, but when did he start responding? So my son started responding to his name. He still doesn't sometimes. He kind of picks and chooses. So that's a hard one to answer. We've been working on it a lot in ABA. I'd say in the past 6 months or so, he's been doing really good with it. My 3-year-old, Melissa says, can read his first 3 words now. Yeah, at age 3. That's wild, right? Might not respond to his name, but he can start reading. Renee says, yes, my granddaughter knew ABCs, numbers and shapes and colors, but wouldn't respond. Yeah. Yes, that's what I'm talking about, you guys. It's fascinating. People who come in here and say, why would you want to learn about autism? It's the autistic brain is beautiful, okay? This intense need for this rigid need for structure, for organization. It really makes the way that they think about things wonderful and beautiful. Yeah, they have support needs. They can struggle with things, and we can help them through that. But I love not just, and I'm not even just talking about kids who are brilliant with autism. That's not what I'm talking about. But like, I love how my son is not a prodigy. By me talking about this, he's not some brilliant guy. He can't read. He just likes numbers and letters, and I'm not trying to say that he's like, going to be the smartest person in the world. I don't know what he's capable of, but what I will say is I think it's absolutely beautiful the way that his brain works. I think it's beautiful that he wants that kind of structure and organization. I want to start doing a visual schedule with my son. In the mornings, I've started saying 1 is get dressed, 2 is eat breakfast, 3 is go to school. And he'll do his little fingers and he'll try to repeat what I'm saying. And so he's ready for a visual schedule. I love the structure of the autistic brain. Nitu says, my son taught himself how to write, to read, how to speak other languages. His brain is amazing. Wow, Nitu. That's a special kid. That's amazing. The stimming is my favorite. Oh yeah, it is incredible. I recently learned that one way a child with autism can regulate their own nervous system is climbing on things. And climbing, it can be concerning if there's a big danger, but it can be similar to stimming in the sense of there is some order and like that balance. It makes sense in their brain. It feels good, and can help regulate their bodies. Do you have climbers? Put yes if your children with autism climb on everything. Okay, B. B says yes. She loves climbing. She'll climb anything, no fear. Yes. It's terrifying. It may regulate their nervous system. It does not regulate my nervous system. It may regulate my son's nervous system, but I am terrified. It sends my anxiety through the roof. All right. Question about... Okay, Sana says, my son is overdue for his MMR vaccine, but I'm scared of autism. Please advise. Sana, good question. And I understand why you're confused. There's a lot of misinformation about this. But you should know that there have been dozens of studies. Like this should not be a controversial subject because of the amount of research that has been done on vaccinations and autism. And there is no link between autism and vaccines. We know that autism, if your child has autism, he already has it. It's something he's born with. We know that autism is 80 to 90% genetic. And the other 10 to 20%, well, they're risk factors while the mother is pregnant. These risk factors can include things like infection in the mother. It can include things like pollutants that the mother is breathing, usually automobile pollutants or wildfire smoke has been correlated with an increased risk of autism. Pesticides, being around pesticides can increase the risk of autism for while the mother is pregnant. Early premature birth can be a risk factor for autism. And so all of those things are risk factors, but it's still largely genetic. But if you note, every single one of those risk factors occur during pregnancy or at birth. There's no risk factors that we know of, that I know of, that take place after. So don't fear the vaccine. If you have other concerns with vaccines, that's fine. You can talk to your doctor about them, but don't worry about the autism part. The research is clear that regression that is seen, that some people see after vaccines, that it is seen equally in kids who don't get vaccinated. That's what the research says. Holy cow. Thank you for that high March gift, Angie. That was cool. I appreciate that. How do I handle my child who loves to greet anyone in public? Oh, Tigress. How old is your child? You know what? For some of us, we would love our children to do that. That's amazing. But there can also be a risk there. It's one of those things that you have to work on with your child. I would recommend that you make that a goal in ABA of recognizing. Okay, look, autism. A lot of people think autism means that your kid is not social. Put social in the chat if your autistic kid is social. If they enjoy other people, put social in the chat because there's a misconception here. People with autism are not necessarily against socializing or they don't like people. What it means is that they have a hard time. Sometimes they don't want to socialize, but sometimes it's that it's awkward or that they don't always do it in the way that other people expect or anticipate that people do it. Okay, that's why there's this belief that people with autism are weird. It's because a lot of times those social norms are not as clear to people. That some children will know that you don't say hi to everybody. You can wave at people, you can say hi, but you don't go up and greet everybody, right? Like that's something a lot of kids will learn by themselves. But your kid, it's going to take some extra instruction. But thank you for asking that because it brought up this good point that kids with autism are oftentimes social. Very often they are social. It's just about recognizing what are some of those social norms and how do you build good relationships and things like that with some of our kids. Oh, Melissa says he shows off the groceries in our cart at the store. Melissa, that is hilarious. That is awesome. Serenity says, my son doesn't like to be around any kids. Yeah, we see that. They're on two different levels. Alexis says, there are various levels of autism, right? We have 3 levels. I don't love the level system in diagnosing system in the United States, but it is a spectrum for sure. Leslie says, is it important to have your child diagnosed if they function academically? Leslie, I guess I would say yes. The question would be do they need support? And most likely, if you're seeing issues, most likely they do need support. Do they have friends at school? Are they getting in trouble? Are there other problems that are going on right now that they may need support with? Also, if your kid is really young, sometimes those struggles don't come up until their teenage years. Puberty can bring on a lot of new struggles for kids with autism, and having that diagnosis opens the door to supports if they are needed. So, Jared says, how do you feel about RFK's Tylenol claim? Oh boy, we're gonna get controversial here. I'll tell you. Let me tell you. Okay, so for those of you who are unaware of what that question is referring to, back in September 2025, Donald Trump and RFK Jr. held a press conference where they announced 2 things. The first is they announced that Tylenol is correlated as a risk factor to autism. The second claim is that leucovorin should be widely prescribed for people with autism. Those were the two claims made. The first claim with Tylenol, I want to be clear here. There was a research paper that found a slight correlation between Tylenol during pregnancy and autism, and it was published by Harvard. Now, what is not shared is that since that study was published, a key tenet of science is replication. And when that study was replicated and they ruled out some confounding factors, they found that Tylenol was not linked, was not even correlated to autism. And there are some large studies that have shown that it's not correlated to autism after ruling out some of those confounding variables. And so that's one of those things. There's a lot of correlations that pop up, and you don't really consider it a true correlation until it's replicated and you rule out confounding factors. For example, when do women take Tylenol? Well, maybe when they have a fever or when they're sick, when they have an infection. Maybe some of those things are correlated to autism during pregnancy, not Tylenol itself. They also ruled out some things with siblings and were able to identify that Tylenol was not the risk factor. We do know that infection during pregnancy is correlated with autism. So that first claim that RFK Jr. made, that Tylenol is correlated to autism, they were correct that there was a paper saying that, but they ignored the other studies that disproved that, and they gave medical advice that doctors did not agree with. That's not my opinion. That's the medical community saying that that they did not agree with those recommendations to avoid Tylenol at all costs. This speaks to something bigger, though. As a society, we blame women for autism. We say you took Tylenol, you parented your child wrong, you gave them too much screen time, you decided to vaccinate your child, and typically the blame falls onto women. And that's something that really bothers me, and I think that Tylenol thing played into that. And so I wasn't a fan of that comment there, and I don't get into politics much here. I just advocate for people with autism. That's my platform. So I wasn't a fan of that press conference. The leucovorin thing, they jumped the gun on. The leading study, there were 5 randomized clinical trials at the time that they published that, or that they announced that, and now there's only 4. Why did it go down? Because they retracted the largest study about leucovorin just a couple weeks ago. It was not ready for widespread recommended use. The FDA refused to approve it for autism or even results of the FRAT test. And so now the only thing that leucovorin got approved for was a we're talking only 200 or 300 people in the entire United States have a genetic condition that it has been found to safely treat. And so this is not used for autism. The research is still unclear, but it's still an interesting topic. I'm not mad at parents for trying this. I'm still optimistic that more research is going to happen and maybe there will be some benefit and we can find out who benefits from it. And I'm open to that. I'm hopeful. So, yeah. Okay. Cassidy says, I think I read somewhere that the father's DNA sometimes determines if the child has autism. So there are, it's polygenic, meaning 80 to 90% is genetics, and polygenic, meaning a lot of genetics, a lot of genes play into this. And so what genes? Well, there are hundreds of genes, both from mother, father, all of that. Now, we do know something you probably heard, Cassidy, was that that parental age, specifically the father's age at conception, is a risk factor for autism. Men over the age of 40 were found to be more likely to father their child with autism. And so that there is that correlation there. Let's see. Winebro says it can be genetics, but also environmental. Scientists haven't found a singular case, but they do agree that most of it is probably genetics. Yeah, Winebro, a lot of that comes from the twin studies. where if you have identical twins and they share 100% DNA, almost every time they both have autism. If one has autism, the other also has autism. Fraternal twins who only share 50% DNA, that statistic plummets to only about only about 20% of the time. If one has autism, the other also has autism. So what that tells us is that it is largely genetic. There's other factors too that they found, and so it's not just like a random belief or a theory. Like, there are studies that show this. But you're right. There's a lot of things that go into autism, and those environmental factors, we need to be clear, they're not after birth. It's not like you can catch autism. It is during pregnancy, environmental factors that contribute to the brain development. All right. Let's see here. I have fraternal twins and only one has autism. Yeah, CM. So we see that absolutely. But there are also times, these rare cases, where they're identical twins and one has autism and the other is not diagnosed with autism. And so that can happen, which contradicts the genetics thing and why there's room for environmental factors to play a role here. Absolutely. Aziz, my 12-year-old son walks on his toes. Is that to do with autism? So toe walking can be associated with autism, but there would have to be other symptoms of autism as well. That alone is not autism. So you'd have to look for some of the other things. Are there social deficits, communication deficits? Do they stim? Meaning, do they, engage in, and tippy toe or toe walking can kind of be part of that. Or rigid thinking. I mean, there's a lot of diagnostic criteria for autism. It's not just toe walking. Any recommendations for homeschool programs? I don't. But here's what I will say about homeschooling. If you're thinking of homeschooling your autistic child, I want you to, first of all, realize I see a lot of people who want to do ABA, and they call that homeschooling their child. And I need to be clear here that ABA therapy cannot do homeschool. That does not count as their academic portion of homeschooling. There can be creative ways where they can help work on things, but insurance wants it to be like medically related, not academically related. And so just be cautious with that. I don't have specific homeschool recommendations though, but maybe people in the chat do. I should learn more about that. Winebro says, what do you think about the theory that some autistic actually have fetal alcohol syndrome? Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. I'll definitely need to look into that theory more. Are there some studies that show that? It's an interesting theory. Does private therapy help? Guys, okay, so the first thing I want to say is that we do not reverse autism. You do not cure autism. Autism is not a disease. It's not something to cure, but we do support autism. We have to support kids with autism. And so how do we support it? Well, that is the third part of this autism journey, okay? I talk about the autism journey in parts. There's 5 parts of this journey. The first is you build your village. The second is you get your child diagnosed. And the third is you build a care team of the best experts to support your child. You do not have to be the expert. You get to build the team. You're a care team manager now of building the dream team to support your child. So your pediatrician is part of that care team. The school is part of the care team. And then there are 4 frontline therapies that I usually recommend that people consider for their child with autism. The first is ABA therapy. Applied behavior analysis. This usually offers the most amount of hours per week. It can be the most intensive. But they work on skill building, reducing problem behaviors, communication, all of that. Occupational therapy, usually an hour a week, and they focus a lot on sensory needs. They truly are experts at helping your child meet their sensory needs that they have. There's overlap with ABA, though. They can do skill development as well, but it's only an hour a week. Speech therapy is the other, and speech therapy is amazing. They focus on communication. They truly are the experts in communication. They can set you up with an AAC device like an iPad that helps your child communicate. They can do a lot, but again, it's an hour a week usually. So OT and speech, usually those are they are good. They're great things to consider. They're not usually those intensive interventions that are like ABA. The fourth is mental health therapy. If your child is fully conversational, mental health therapy can really benefit them. So those are the things you should consider doing. That doesn't mean you do all four of those. It means that you consider what your child needs and then build your care team. You do not have to be the expert. You build that care team. Okay. Caitlin says, wait, so does speech help with social cues as well? That's a good question. Do we have any speech therapists in the chat? I imagine they could help with that. Most of my experience with speech therapy is a lot earlier on in the language development process of not identifying social cues, but more of them developing communication and being able to say the words. So what skill development and how is it different from ABA? I'm talking about skill development can be something they work on in ABA. They can work on developing skills. They can work on communication. They can work on reducing problem behaviors. All of those things overlap. So Evelyn says, is school obligated to offer these therapies? So depending on the IEP, yes. But typically what you'll see speech therapists in schools. It's rare to have occupational therapy, rare to have ABA. Speech therapy for sure. A lot of times they just write the goals that are related to those within school. Oh, BB, I don't know much about Canada's new autism funding plan, but I heard that it was kind of a cost-saving thing, right? It's not really going to benefit people. It's going to hurt people. Is that what you're seeing, BB, in Canada? Oh, Monster Marky, good question, good question. Can you talk about pros and cons with ABA therapy? I hear mixed things. That is something you need to be aware of as a parent, of why does ABA get a bad name? And there can be a few things, but let me break down what most people are saying about ABA. Most people are talking about ABA and they have legitimate concerns. A lot of these people are adults that went through traumatic experiences receiving ABA. And this speaks to what ABA focused on. What ABA focused on 15 years ago, even like that recently in history, what ABA was focusing on was trying to make your kid look like a normal kid. And so they would address things that would promote masking, like stop flapping your hands, because, neurotypical kids don't flap their hands, so you should not flap your hands. And so addressing things in that way really caused trauma in a lot of kids. It really did. They also there's more to ABA that it could hurt. They also if it was they prevented a lot of behaviors that were beneficial for the person. I mean, you get them to stop flapping their hands, that is hurting them because now they have to mask. And so what my caution is that they definitely got a bad name, and it's for a good reason. But today, that's not really what you see in ABA. The other complaint, I forgot to mention this one. The other complaint with ABA is that they would focus on things that are not developmentally appropriate. A 2-year-old, a 3-year-old does not need to learn how to sit there and make eye contact with you. They don't need to learn to sit at a table for prolonged periods of time. Okay? And ABA would select targets that would address those things. And so, yeah, these 2-3-year-olds that were told they can't flap their hands, they have to sit at a table, and they would have powerful strategies to instill this into people. I mean, it works. ABA works. There's no doubt about it. There's enough evidence. You can change behavior through ABA. But the question is, should you? And at what cost is there? And that was a problem that we saw with ABA. Now, currently, do you still see this? Not really. Not really. But what I will say is, and this is a guy, I'm a BCBA. I do ABA for a living. I know this stuff inside and out. I created a program that trained 80% of the current BCBAs around the world. I'm the creator of ABA Wizard, which is an exam prep tool that has helped 80% of the current BCBAs in the world pass their exam. So I know ABA, but I can be critical and say, look, I want you to observe and be aware of what are they working on with your kid. Because we know that ABA works. We know that the science is powerful. But just because they can change a behavior doesn't mean that they should. And so if you have concerns of what they're targeting, if you're worried that they're focusing on teaching a 2-year-old to sit at a table when a 2-year-old should be on the ground playing hard and playing with their toys, like, yeah, you say something, you address that. If you're worried that they're having your kid not flap their hands when they need to regulate, then you need to say something. Alex, you keep putting this in there. I address this. What's skill development and how is it different from ABA? ABA works on skill development. That just means getting skills. That's not a different intervention. Justine says, not all ABA is bad. My company is compassionate based. Justine, so is mine. I'm a BCBA. ABA is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And I am encouraging everybody to get ABA. I'm also letting you know why there's pushback. And there's pushback because it does have a history of encouraging masking and addressing things in non-developmentally appropriate ways. And as long as your company is doing that, and the vast majority do, like it is rare to see someone go and tell you need to work on hand flapping, or someone tell you that your 2-year-old needs to be able to sit at a table for an hour. Like you don't see that very much anymore. Caitlin says, what about ABA companies that require 30 to 40 hours a week? Look, from the information that we have, from the research studies that we have, there have been most effective progress when you have enough time to work on all the goals. And so if 30 to 40 hours allows you to work on 20 different targets at a time, then if you only want 5 hours a week, you're probably only going to be able to address, a couple goals at a time. And so you are limiting a little bit of how much you can work on with your child. However, there was a new article posted a new article published this week that showed that more important than hours in a week is how long, like, are you doing ABA for just 6 months or are you doing it for 2 years? And those that did it for 2 years, regardless of if it was 10 hours a week or 30 hours a week, showed the most progress than those who did even intensive for 6 months. And so you need to do what is going to work best for you. There are companies that say you have to do 30 or 40 hours a week. And I don't agree with that. I mean, I run a company and you need to have some flexibility, but also if you can only do a few hours a week, you might not see the progress that you want to see. All right, guys. Okay. Alex says, ABA is incredible. My kid is finally talking with phrases and has stopped eloping. Highly recommend. Alex, oh my goodness. Well done. I mean, that is so cool. I love hearing that. Nur says, I believe any form of illness can be helped by treating with special food consumption. Nur, are you saying autism is an illness, that you think autism is an illness? Is that what you're trying to say, Nur? Please clarify. Love to hear what you're trying to say there. That's something I don't agree with. I don't believe autism is an illness to be cured. I also think that nutrition is important for every child, but there are no special diets that have been found to be effective, sufficient to have a default recommendation for autism. So just like any child, yeah, let's do what we can to help your child be as nutritious as possible. But I don't want you parents thinking you got to go and start a gluten-free diet or change the diet like crazy. Like, no, you don't got to do that. They're just kids. They're just kids. Mrs. Melinda says, do your kids sleep irregular hours too? Sometimes. My son, here's what we do. We have a light that is red when it's bedtime, and it turns green when it's time to wake up. He's 3.5 years old, and he can't talk very well, but we do focus on that quite a bit. And he makes a lot of, he's made a lot of progress if he stays in bed during night. However, he will get up and sometimes he'll turn on the light and he'll get in bed, but he'll just be awake for hours. and he knows that he can't come and get us, but he's just sitting there awake. He'll go and grab his books. Books are his special interest. And so he grabs his books, and he'll sit there and he'll read in bed in the middle of the night. And then, so absolutely a little bit of sleep problems. That's very common with autism, is there are sleep concerns sometimes. Talk to your doctor as well, because along with addressing this behaviorally of creating a good routine and, things like that night light that I talked about, there are other things that you can do for sleeping, and those are things pediatricians should talk to you about. Sometimes that includes melatonin. Sometimes it includes magnesium or clonidine. There are medications that can be prescribed or supplements recommended by your pediatrician. If some food is causing your kid discomfort or constipation, then it can help to alleviate symptoms. Mom Skeeter, absolutely. Yes. Okay. And that's for every kid, right? But kids with autism, we might not know. And so, constipation is one of the leading causes of visiting the pediatrician. All kids are impacted by constipation. And there is some data to suggest that kids with autism are more likely to have gut problems. Now, is it cause and effect? Is it that genetically it's somehow connected? Or is it that kids with autism are picky eaters and that can impact gut health? We don't know. I'm excited to learn more and see more research. But I totally agree that if your child is having an increase in problem behaviors, be thinking, when was the last time they pooped? Are they constipated? Do we need to address this? Absolutely. So it's not that changing diet and improved diet will address autism symptoms, but nutrition and healthy diet absolutely supports good gut health, and having a body be comfortable, and should absolutely be worked on. Alex says, I'm the type that likes trains. I love that. I love it. Let's see. Question. Does OT really help with picky eaters? It can. If you have feeding expert. And so not all occupational therapists are highly trained in feeding therapy. Sometimes speech therapists can do feeding therapy really well. Sometimes ABA therapists can do feeding therapy really well. But yeah, you should work on addressing picky eating or ARFID. Averin says ARFID is pretty common alongside autism as well, isn't it? Yes, ARFID, ARFID. If your child has ARFID, put ARFID in the chat. ARFID. This is extremely rigid eating. Put ARFID in the chat. And maybe they don't have a diagnosis of ARFID, but feel free to put it in the chat, even if your child is restricted to eating only 3 or 4 food items as their safe food. Put ARFID in the chat. So ARFID refers to highly restricted eating. A lot of kids with autism have ARFID to where they feel safe only eating a few foods. And quite often it's, French fries, chicken nuggets, and pizza are, kind of the 3 basic food groups for some of our kids with autism. It's a big deal. Look, what you're going to see is with ARFID, a lot of parents will judge you, and they'll say, oh, no, you don't make him his special safe food. Like, you're just enabling him. Have you guys heard this before? You're just enabling him. He either eats what you cook or he'll go to bed hungry. What happens? What happens with your kid with ARFID if you say that they have to eat their non-preferred food or they have to go to bed hungry? What are they going to do? Yeah, he'll eat when he's hungry is what they always say. Guys, he will go to bed hungry. If they have ARFID, it's not about, hunger being the motivation to eat. It is like we genuinely see kids with autism needing a G-tube so that we can put nutrition, sustenance directly into their stomach because they refuse to eat. And so please avoid those recommendations of making your kid avoid their safe foods and force them to eat the other foods. But what I will say is it's something you can work on. It's something you can support, but it's slow. I'm talking about through feeding therapy and slowly exposing to new foods. We're talking about, brand new foods, maybe, 5 new foods a year that they can welcome into their diet, right? Like, it's slow. This is not something, and maybe even slower than that. This is not something that you can address behaviorally rapidly. This is a big deal. It's something that needs to be worked on slowly to help them be comfortable with experts who know what they're doing with it. All right, you guys. You know what? I think it's time that we bring some people up. If you have questions, Lexi, I'm going to bring you up. Good to see you, Lexi. But if you have a question for me, go ahead and invite up. Let's have some people. Let's have some conversations here. While we're waiting for more people to load in. Did it not accept you in, Lexi? That was weird. While you're loading in, let me just kind of give a little bit of a rundown of what we're doing here and who I am. If you're new here, put FYP in the chat. If I came across your For You page today, put FYP in the chat. I want to see who's new here. Put FYP. If I came across your For You page today, and that's how you're here, put FYP in the chat. I want to see. Okay, we do have a lot of new people. So a little bit about what we do here is we talk about autism every day for a couple hours. This is a safe place. If you have a child with autism, if you have autism, if you just want to learn about autism, this is the place for you. And I'm a father with 2 kids with autism. My 3.5-year-old, my almost 2-year-old daughter are both diagnosed with autism. I have a master's degree in autism studies. I'm a board-certified behavior analyst, so I've worked with kids with autism for the past 13 years. Currently, I'm the CEO of a company that provides services to kids with autism. That's why I can't go live for 6 hours a day like I want to. My employees get mad if I'm not there to help them sometimes. They run really well without me, but I like working as well. So I got to actually do stuff to support autism, not just talk about it. So when I get off lives, that's what I'm working on. I work all day, every day, pretty much, to support people with autism. And going live is a really important thing that I have found gives me joy, helps me have a village, and I enjoy doing it. So if this says follow right here, it means that you have not yet followed me. Go ahead, tap that so you can see when I go live next. It's usually at noon Eastern time that I go live. And if you have questions for me, please request up. I'm going to be bringing some people up right now to ask questions if you have any question about autism. Lexi, how are you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing well. How are you?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. Anything new your way?
So, well, actually, we just got out of the developmental pediatrician's office.
Oh, wow.
And she actually recommended to do some genetic testing for Axel.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it was kind of interesting, and I was like, I gotta tell Kylan about this.
Yeah, so what are they going to, is it a specific test? Is it part of the Spark study to look for genes that are related to autism?
She didn't go too much into it because the genetic testing is done in the same facility, but by a different provider.
Yeah.
So she doesn't do the developmental pediatrician doesn't do the genetic testing itself. But I did set up an appointment. It's not until June, but I did set up an appointment for him to get his genetic testing done. And she said that usually with genetic testing, it can help them understand if like there's some sort of like issue that may arise, like we were just talking about gut health and, things of those natures, heart issues or anything like that, any mutation or gene malfunction or whatever you want to call it,
yes.
That could cause like potential issues in the future. She did advise me and warn me that only 1/3 of children who are tested for gene mutations actually get results of something. So she said it's not going to be anything that you want to kind of like put your heart and focus, like this is going to tell me what is going to solve or what is going to happen. She was like, but out of like all of the people that we test, about 1/3 of people actually get a result of something
Yeah.
that can help alleviate or that can help,
And this was
streamline
recommended
any.
by the developmental pediatrician, and I that's something I think I need to incorporate a little bit more into my step 2, my part 2 of the autism journey of getting clarity. Is you get a diagnosis, and I do think genetic testing typically is recommended, and it's something that I haven't taken the time to do everything I need to learn about. I do know that there's a lot of confusion with it because you hear about some other genetic type testing, and that can include like testing for the MTHFR. Oh, Pink, stay there. Stay. I didn't mean for you to leave. We were just finishing our conversation before I wanted you to talk. If you want to come back up. Come back up if you want to. It just let us finish this part, and then I want to turn it to you, Pink. But part of it is like I don't want people getting confused with the MTHFR stuff, which is totally separate. That is genetic related, but it's not the same as what a developmental pediatrician is going to be sending in for. It's also not the FRAT test. This is more of like, are there genetic mutations that explain some of the any of this, or it can also contribute to the SPARK test, which is the nationwide study identifying the.
I asked her, I was like, if we do the genetic test, what will you use this genetic test for? And so she explained to me, that whole process of like, for heart health and all these other things that could potentially like affect him later on in life.
Yeah.
But then she also told me that it goes to like their database, like the genetic test. It goes to their database, and what they're doing is they're comparing children who are on the spectrum and comparing their genetics and seeing if there's anything that kind of aligns.
Yes, and
So
they've identified hundreds. I think there are over 500
yeah.
genetic variations or specific genes that have been identified associated with autism. And so it's an important thing to not only learn about your child, but also to help further the science. So Lexi, I thank you for coming up, bringing that up. Pink, did you comment there in the chat? Oh, your lunch. Oh, I'm sorry, Pink. I'm so sorry. Oh, shoot. All right. Yes, or hop on. Yeah, hop on next time. I'm so sorry. I'll keep my eye out for you. I'm sorry you're having a hard time, and I wish I could hear you vent. I really do. All right. Let's keep on going. Let me see if we have any guests in here. Oh, there we go. Oh, Destiny, I didn't see you. There you go. Destiny, how are you doing?
Hanging in there.
Oh, good. Good. Guys, if you have any questions, go ahead and request up. We're going to, we probably have time to answer a couple more questions, or you can just hear me, Lexi, and Destiny talk, because that's always fun too.
Melissa, I'm not talking this time. TikTok has something against me.
Yeah, you got banned last time, so. Melissa, it's good to see you. I thank you for always being here. Let's see. Did you have friends when you were a child? My son has autism. Guys, a little clarification here and a little bit about myself. Oh my gosh, thank you for the hand hearts. That is awesome. So I'm not diagnosed with autism. Destiny has tried to diagnose me with autism, but she's not a psychologist. But I do have 2 kids with autism.
I didn't say that. I just said I think that Pokemon cards should be on the diagnostic criteria and that you should think about getting a diagnosis.
I'll consider it. I don't believe that I fall on the spectrum. I don't think so looking at my background, but who knows? And I'd be open to it.
What was your childhood like? Like, did you speak as a child? Did you have like any developmental delays? Because I feel like back then those things weren't recognized. Like my husband, that he didn't talk till he was 5 or 6, and they just didn't think anything of it. I'm like, that would.
Okay, so we had home videos that we would take. So I have a lot of videos of me as a kid, and I was speaking kind of at normal ages. I I have videos of me talking when I was 2, 3, 4, and comparing how I acted to my 2 kids with autism. I definitely did not line up with that. I always had like
but it has
special
crossed your mind
interests.
because you were looking. It's crossed your mind.
Oh yeah. But what the part that has crossed my mind is I've always had special interests, and I tend to focus on one thing at a time, and I hit it hard, and I get really good at that thing, whatever it is, you know.
Do you have trouble with anything outside of your interests? Like Eli, he can take apart a pin or a watch or an Xbox, and he'll focus on that and clean it and put it back together. Or GUNs, he's like obsessed with them, taking them apart. But if he has to focus on laundry or dishes or anything like that, if it involves like, I'm like, hey, can you help me clean the kitchen? And there's multiple things to do, he gets overwhelmed. Like I can assign him like one task to focus on. Otherwise, every cabinet will be open, half of the dishes will get done, and then he's like, oh, I forgot to do this, and he'll go do this. And I'm like, yeah, he did. He was diagnosed ADHD as a kid, like pretty severe. He was medicated his whole life until he joined the Army. Yeah. So I was like, you know.
I've never taken any medication for like anything like that, any anxiety or anything, until about a year ago. And I think my anxiety has absolutely like gone through the roof since having, you know, kids who have a lot more needs, and so I, like little tasks like that. No, I've always like haven't had a problem with that, but definitely social stuff. Like I've always preferred to be a little bit more alone, and like I've always preferred to just be like with my family instead of going out and doing stuff with friends.
Which is so ironic because now you're working to be a public figure, and you know you have hundreds of internet friends.
I do have a lot of friends. There's
nothing wrong with
friends is good. I'd be open to having
wrong
autism.
With taking meds. Have you seen that video of Pete Davidson talking about Kanye? And he's like, Kanye was telling everybody, I'm off my meds. And he's like, take them. Take your meds. There's nothing wrong with them. Take them.
Yes. I have found, I've loved I definitely have anxiety, and I go to therapy, and so I have my own things for sure. And I don't know that autism is one, but it could be. Maybe someday I'll go and get an evaluation. But I do come on here because I have 2 kids diagnosed with autism. I have also worked with people with autism for the past over a decade, and I just am passionate. I guess it's become my new special interest is autism. Can autism be an autistic person's special interest?
Sure.
All right.
Hey, Tanner says, what do y'all think about leucovorin? So I have a hard time. So we did order the frat test for my son, and we're trying him on the Spectrum Awakening folinic acid. But I think it's hard to take these studies that they're doing, any study, not just the leucovorin, any study that's being done, because unless you are testing an autistic child who has no other resource, no therapy, no ABA, no OT, no speech, can you really say it was the leucovorin? Can you really say it was the diet? Can you really say it was whatever supplement you gave them and not the therapy that they were receiving? They're like, 6 months ago, he couldn't do this. Well, was it whatever you're giving him, or was it because you've been in therapy for 6 months? So
yes, I agree.
And those studies typically don't say if those children were receiving other resources.
I agree with you too, Destiny, because my son's been in therapy for 7 months, and he's a completely different child than he was when he went into therapy. But if he was on leucovorin, I wouldn't know if it was the therapy or if it was the medication.
Yeah. And we're not willing to stop therapy to start the leucovorin.
Yeah.
Now, they did explain to us, the pediatrician was like, if he does have that folate receptor antibody, or if he doesn't, it's not harmful. We're not doing prescription leucovorin because TRICARE won't cover it, but folinic acid essentially. But like you said, I wouldn't know if that was helpful or not. So we wanted to get that receptor antibody test so we know if he needs that, because folate's essential for the brain. But I'm not willing to stop his therapies so we can see if leucovorin does or doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't work, then you're back on the wait list.
Yeah, it is. So as far as this platform goes, I am not mad at any parent who is trying these things. The risks are fairly low. However, leucovorin itself does come with some risks of, increased anxiety and agitation in a child. There's a lot that we don't know about it, and it has not been cleared by FDA for widespread use. It's only been cleared for about 200 or 300 people in the United States to use, and the randomized clinical trials, what Destiny was explaining is why we do randomized clinical trials. So any anecdote of someone saying, I did this and now my child talks like it's the greatest thing in the world, that's an anecdote. And we have what's called expectancy bias. And so if we do something that we put effort into and we think it's going to work, this is like human nature in us, we tend to see that. Our brain looks for those things, and we're going to find what's improving. And so what randomized clinical trials do is it removes that and gives half the kids placebo, and the other half, they get leucovorin, and we can see, like, did it actually do something? Or is it just the expectancy bias that we see? And there have been 5 randomized clinical trials published on leucovorin. One of them was retracted, the one with the most promising results, and the others are fairly limited in their improvements. However, there is still some promise there, and I'm excited to see more evidence. I really am. I also want to point out that the FRAT test is there. There's a lot of skepticism around the FRAT test as well in the scientific community. I recently reposted a explanation from a developmental pediatrician on the FRAT test. And I mean, it's definitely, if you are doing it and you want access to leucovorin, I recommend looking for clinical trials to where you can be part of the science to move this forward. And but again, if you're like, I want to try this and I want to try these supplements, I'm not mad at you. But if you're already burnt out, if your finances are hard, if you're already trying to figure things out, this isn't the thing to prioritize right now for you. What you need to be prioritizing right now is building your village. It's getting your child a diagnosis and then building their care team with the therapies that they need. And then only after all that's done, you can do all the learning and try to figure all that out later on. So
I think that concept applies to so much. It's like, especially when it comes to like how you were debating people on, detox or vaccines or whatever. I know a woman, I grew up around her, and her son, he got a vaccine that caused a brain injury. He also has the MTHFR gene and another kind of mutation, but she goes to like congressmen, and she is one of those moms that is like, I'll never vaccinate my child again. When I gave birth to Hudson, she DM'd me like all this research on vaccines and autism and how I shouldn't vaccinate my child. And I'm like, respectfully, your child has a brain injury. He has gene mutations. So could your child still have had autism, without the vaccine? Sure. But the vaccine caused a brain injury. And what you're seeing is a result of that brain injury, his aggression, his communication, his, brain injuries are not autism. And I think that a lot of times, and we all know, or you should know, you should be told the risks and sign off on them before you vaccinate your child, the risks that come with that,
Yeah. And we're talking 1 in a million risk of serious side
and
effects.
It's funny that you say that, Kylan, because the developmental pediatrician, when she told me about the genetics test, she said that's something that your insurance will cover, so you don't have to pay anything out of pocket. So it's like, oh, okay, well, if my insurance covers it and it's just a swab inside the cheek, then I don't see any harm in it.
Yep.
But she's not like recommending anything right now that the insurance doesn't cover.
I think that's a really good test to do. Is like, is insurance going to pay for this? And I think that insurance doesn't want to pay for things that are experimental or fringe. And there was a point where some of these other things weren't covered. I mean, ABA wasn't covered by insurance for a really long time, and it still would have benefited your child to get. However, the research just wasn't there yet. And so
I absolutely hate the word experimental. Like when they deny you for experimental things, medicine is experimental. You do what are they called? Like MRIs and CTs, those are discovery. Like that is the whole point of medicine.
Yeah.
Is so like we're getting an MRI to see if you have colon cancer. You're doing a genetic test to see if you have a genetic mutation.
But there's a difference between like treatment that is experimental. Like,
I mean, an MRI isn't treatment; it's discovery, just like a blood test for genetics. Like if they're turning you down for a genetic test and they're not turning you down for an MRI because you have stomach pain, that seems ridiculous.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, you guys, let's see if there's any other comments we need to take a look at. I am just about the end of the live, you guys, but let's take a look here, see if there's anything else that is top priority that we need to address. Korak says, can you sometimes answer to us too? Yeah, we read the comments and we answer. Let's see. What are some good pre-assessment tools for adults who think they might be autistic before testing? You know what, Averin, come back, and maybe that's something I'll have ready for tomorrow, of more resources for adults who want to do some pre-screening. So I'll there's a lot of stuff in there that I don't want to share things or push things that are just like not evidence-based, just surveys that people have created. And I really need to make sure that there's good free resources that you guys can try. So I'll take that on as some homework, Averin. It's a good question. All right. Do we ask the pediatrician for genetic testing? How do you go about that in California? Okay, so developmental pediatricians, absolutely. You can ask your pediatrician and see. They should point you in the right direction. I would absolutely talk to your pediatrician about it. Yes. Now, I do know, like, if the person who diagnosed your child with autism is a developmental pediatrician, they can order that for you. Now, I'm not completely sure. I don't believe a psychologist is able to order that gene test. I think you have to bring the results back to your pediatrician, is my belief. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I'll do some more research on that too and talk to you guys next time. If they're a medical doctor, they should be able to refer you out to the gene studies stuff.
Yeah, my pediatrician referred me to a developmental pediatrician after we found out his autism diagnosis.
Yeah. You're cutting out, Lexi. I think you got some bad service. Hold on. I had to drop you because it was starting to do this weird thing where it was like robotic and slow. And anyway, sorry, Lexi. But I'm coming to the end anyway. But it sounds like Lexi was saying that her pediatrician referred her to a developmental pediatrician to be the pediatrician over the child, and the developmental pediatrician sent over the genetics test. Again, I'll go through this with my son and make sure I have better perspective on the genetic stuff. But I do think that is part of getting clarity on your child, is that genetic aspect, not to be confused with some of these other tests that you have to pay extra for, like the OAT test or the MTHFR or the FRAT test. Those are things that aren't recommended by default, but a genetic test is. So, all right, you guys, we're going to call it a day. We go live 2 hours every day. If you're new here, make sure that you hit me a follow so that you can find me next time that we go live. I love doing this. Also, over on YouTube, you are able to follow at any time and subscribe over on YouTube. And you can reference back and watch the old lives. If you just can't get enough of this kind of discussion, you can go back and rewatch the lives that we've had. So thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you for the support. Have a good day, everybody. We'll talk to you later.